Hi, Santa Rosa. It's Stephanie Lennox, and it's my pleasure to have my job be to help people learn about and take care of our creeks here in Santa Rosa. And this activity is brought to you by the Creek Stewardship Program of the City of Santa Rosa, who's always encouraging us all to learn about our creeks, to care about our creeks, and protect them. What we do matters every day to the health of our creek. Everything we do flows and blows and goes down there. And we're going to be making some maps to figure that out and look at that in a little bit more detail. I'm going to share some slides from a slideshow with you so you can be informed about this activity, and then off you go to do that activity. We hope that you enjoy it. Let me share my screen with you so that we can look at the slideshow together and we can get you the information you need about the Mountains Make Creeks map. Here we go. Indeed, the creeks are ours to protect, and what we do does make a difference to our creeks. Everything ends up down in our creeks and flowing away. I'm going to go here to the next slide. So the whole world is one watershed where water is constantly cycling around and flowing from the highest to the lowest places with gravity in effect. And the west coast of California, where we live, the northern part of California, is no exception to that rule. We are usually a Pacific coast draining watershed. So all of our creeks are leading out to the Pacific Ocean that for us in Santa Rosa is relatively close. So I'm going to outline the city of Santa Rosa in yellow. See if you can find it here amongst the other Northern California cities that are our neighbors. Here is the city of Santa Rosa roughly outlined, and we're going to get a closer look inside of those boundaries. And here we are up close looking at the city of Santa Rosa. See if you can see that shape again. There it is. And you can see our network of creeks, which in a moment I'll show you a little closer. And you can see things like Highway 12 and Highway 101 where that exchanges to help to begin to place ourselves on this map. The other thing we want you to see is the incredibly large and complicated network of creeks that we have running through the city of Santa Rosa, receiving everything we're doing every day and bringing it all the way out to the ocean as the water flows all the way downhill to there. We've got over 100 miles of creeks. It is a very special feature about the city of Santa Rosa, and that everyone is really very close within walking distance to their closest creek. And this map making activity will help us see where all of these creeks are coming from and where they're going to. I'm circling the downtown Santa Rosa Mall, which is right there next to Highway 101, just placing us on this map a little bit as we study it. Over here, I'm circling the fairgrounds. That's next to the racetrack right there. And then we've got Spring Lake over there, bordering Howarth Park and Lake Ralphine. And then if you know Taylor Mountain, that's the sunshine right here, the big, beautiful, preserved, protected forever mountainside backdrop of the city of Santa Rosa. We're going to look at Colgan Creek, which is flowing off of down through Santa Rosa and away towards the ocean, through our town. And I'm going to show you a picture taken from where I've put this green X, looking back up at Taylor Mountain, so we can talk a little bit about a watershed and use this as an example. Here we are looking at Taylor Mountain, and indeed here is where this picture is being taken, and we can see that Colgan Creek is coming all the way down through this picture and continuing past where this picture was taken, and it's receiving water from all the land around, whether it's flowing over the land or underneath the land through the groundwater. This entire area of land we're looking at is what gives Colgan Creek its water. So this entire area of land is what we call Colgan Creek's watershed. Here again, we are at Taylor Mountain with where the picture was taken, and Colgan Creek as it runs through our town, collecting the water from the land all around it. So that's behind Costco, that's over by Petaluma Hill Boulevard, that's underneath Highway 101, that's getting closer to Elsie Allen High School, and all the other land around is what fills up Colgan Creek. Colgan Creek is a product of what's happening on all that land around it because the water goes, flows, and blows over it and under it and brings it right into Colgan Creek. So the health of our creek is really the health of all the land that surrounds it. Our neighborhoods drain through storm drains. That water's going right down the storm drain and to the closest creek. And so wherever you are, whether it's a parking lot, a sidewalk, your neighborhood, those are all connected to the closest creek through the storm drain system. So whatever we do, wherever we do it in our city, it becomes part of our creek. We're going to look at this further by turning us into map makers, into cartographers. We're going to make a topographic map, which is a map that shows us the different 3D elements of our land, the world that we're going to create as we create this map. It also can be called a raised relief map. We are going to create a world, and we're going to look and see where water is going to be flowing in our world, and we're going to create what we want to see happening on our world, on our watershed. This is going to be your map. Let's take a look at the supplies we need. It would be great if you had both permanent as well as washable markers, and this will create different effects on the map, especially as we bring in the rain. You want to have a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, as thick as you can get it. Cardstock would be great. And then you want to bring a spray bottle with water in at the end so that you can bring a rainstorm to test the map and how you did creating and guessing where those creeks are going to be flowing. And you can also have an option of covering your map in tinfoil, so there's that for you. Here's an example of what those different markers will end up looking like after you create your map and bring a water rainstorm along with it. You've got the washable markers are giving you this blue tinted water so you can see it really clearly with that blue washable marker washing away. And then the permanent markers, so on this map would be these green mountain sides. Those features are staying even though we're raining down on it with water. All right, so you're going to want to take your cardstock paper and or your cardstock paper covered with tinfoil. Just get a piece of paper slightly bigger, piece of tinfoil slightly bigger than your paper, and then cover it like a gift wrap. All right, so I'm going to just show you a quick video clip so we can see the mountain making force that's involved in creating your own mountain map. I'm not sure if you can hear the audio that's going on. So basically what I'm doing is folding this piece of paper, not creasing it all the way, but just getting it folded in half. And then I'm coming from opposite ends of the paper and I'm pushing it together, creating the uplift, creating these mountains from which then the creeks and everything else in the water will fall away. All right, and then I'm going to unravel it and see what I've got and look at it from all different angles and also see how it's sitting on the table. So here's an example of what that mountain map that I created begins to look like after I've smushed it together and unfolded it. Here is what the plain piece of paper looks like without the tinfoil covering. This is my first attempt as I've squished the paper together, and then I'm going to want to unfold my world a little bit so that I've got clear mountains leading to the edge of my world, my land, and then I'm also testing it to make sure it's not wobbly on this tabletop so that when I bring the rainstorm, the land will be secure. I'm continuing to kind of push it together lightly and get some uplift on the mountains, and I'm also kind of smoothing the edges down to get a high to a low area and to get some of these creases and canyons to show up. Just keep messing around with yours until you are happy and it's sitting flat on the table. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to outline the tallest places on our maps, the ridge lines, the places where water will go away from, predictably flow from that highest point, and then start falling down and finding its way onto the lowest points, which is where we're going to outline the creeks. So right now I'm just showing you how I'm taking a permanent marker and I'm just looking for all of those ridge tops, places where water will not collect. This will help me continue to build out my map and continue to build out those lowest places as well. So take your map. You can pause your video if you want to do it along with me at this point, or you can just finish watching the video and then go have a go at making your own mountain map. So I'll continue to outline all the ridge tops to really highlight what's going on my map. All right, so here is what my map looks like with all of the ridge lines outlined, the ridge tops, ridge lines outlined. And now you can really start to see the definition of those opposite places, right? The places where water is going to flow off of, down from, and then these lowest places are really starting to show up as well. That's going to be the next thing we'll outline, is where water will get caught and it will be taken in a path as it moves off of this watershed map that you've created. So I've just got this drop of water kind of coming off this hillside, and then I'm guessing where the water's going to go, and I'm actually letting my pen tell me where the pen is getting caught, and then where I'm imagining as a drop of water I would go from there. And I'll continue to turn my map around and to look for all the places that is showing me. I'm using permanent marker right now so that I can always see where my creek paths are. But then eventually I'll come back with some washable markers and do that as well. So continue to find all the places where water is going to be caught and move in a path, move in a creek, in a river direction as it is continuing to go downhill. All right, let's take a look at what that looks like when it's all done. Now you can see the highest and the lowest places on this map. And this now really gives me a map that I can start to put other things that I'd like to have in my world on this map, other things that I do in the city of Santa Rosa that makes my life complete. And I can choose good places for those because now I know where the ridge tops are and I know where the water is going to be gathering and flowing. This is where I'm going to take the permanent marker that I used and top it off with some washable markers so that as the rain comes, we'll see that blue water flowing. So here's an example of the blue tinted water because of the uh, washable marker I put on top of my permanent marker. So just keep that in mind for your map design as you're going through this. All right, so I'm gonna go around my map and I'm gonna put things that I wanna have in my world that I know makes my world great and healthy. Here's a section of forest that is also got logging happening there, and I have created that as a piece of, and kind of at the top of my ridgeline, and you can see the creek coming through that forest and then down. And then on the other side, I live in a nicely wooded area. So I've got my home right there. And I've created my home with both permanent and washable markers. Around the corner is my farm. And you can see the barn there where I go in and get my food from every week, and where the farmers grow, the field where the farmers grow my farm. And then the reservoir where they're holding water to water that farm. My daughters and I really love to dance, and so I've got to make sure we've got a place to dance in. So that's why I've got this dance hall here. And then I've got to have some shops. This is where I shop for my groceries. I get our dance outfits and my daughter's point shoes from, and so I've put some shops on my uh, map as well. Here is a school that I've put here on my map, and this is where we are all gathering in our learning. And I've put other features as well. So continue to put as many things as you'd love to have in your life on your map until you feel like it's well filled up and it's ready for you to bring on the rainstorm and see how your map does and how your map marking does for being accurate. Here's what that tinfoil map looks like. A little bit harder to draw more specific features, so I go with blocks of color. I use both permanent and washable markers on these maps as well. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take your map outside, or you could do this inside, like maybe place it in a sink or a bathtub and get your spray bottle of water. And the first thing you're going to do is bring a very light rainstorm to your map. That's because eventually your map will get soggy and saggy, and you want to see how well your map is doing for where you said the water is going to flow. So a light rainstorm will show you where the water begins to flow. When you get your light rainstorm, take a few moments, take a closer look before you rain down more on your map and see, as you can see, my creeks are starting to flow, they're starting to color themselves, and I'm really liking where I've placed them. I'm really seeing the pattern of water following where I've put it on my map. So then continue to bring a bigger rainstorm until you've got your whole world full of rain and catching that rain and flowing off of the high points and being caught in those creeks. Be creative. One of the things you can also do is you can sprinkle little pieces of dirt, or in this case, I've crumpled up some leaves and I've brought the rain and I'm watching these little pieces as they also gather together and flow down the watershed. And this is exactly how whatever we do on the land ends up in the creeks. And you can see that so clearly when you sprinkle other things onto your map as well. We hope that you enjoy making a mountain creek map as well. There's a lot of learning that happens from when we make these maps, and we want to keep on connecting with our creeks, so we're sure to keep on protecting our creeks. We're really glad that you want to attempt making one of these maps for you and for your family. We hope you enjoy the process, and we want to thank you so much for caring about our creeks and being together in this way so that we can be continuously talking about how to protect them. Have a great time making your map. Thank you. Bye.